All right, let's talk about the Alabama Crimson Tide here for a little bit. Look, as we work our way deeper into the late spring, early summer, we've seen what Coach Kalen DeBoer and his staff has done up to this point. A lot of it's very commendable. But this latest move, I think, has a chance to be a big impact just as well because it's in the future. It's an out year move that talks about not just the 2024 campaign being a good sign for the Tide, but the future as well. Let's get into the article, then we'll talk about it more on the other side. This is courtesy of The Athletic. All right, the summer months are a critical time in college recruiting, and Alabama football secured a high-profile commitment on Tuesday when four-star quarterback Keelan Russell announced that he has flipped from SMU, Southern Methodist University, to the Crimson Tide. The 6'3", 180-pound prospect from Duncanville, Texas, had been committed to the Mustangs since September. He is ranked number 38 overall and the number 6 quarterback in the class of 2025, according to the 24/7 Sports Composite. He is the 11th commitment and the highest rated prospect in Alabama's 2025 class. All right, this is obviously great news for Alabama for a number of reasons. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. But first, Alabama fans, in the comment section below, as we get closer to the regular season, I mean, oh my goodness, so close you can almost taste it. At this point, let us know. Is there a game you're going to? Is there a game you're going to decide to attend, whether it's in Tuscaloosa or on the road? Let us know. We're excited to hear from fans. What game are you going to attend? Let us know. We want to see what, kind of show your pride, how much you love following the Tide, what games you're going to go to. One of our favorite times of the year is hear from people like you about this. So let us know what games you're planning on attending, what games you're going to be really excited for. Put that in the comment section below. But Miles, what do you think of this big recruiting move by Alabama?
Nick, I think this is huge for Alabama because we talk about this all the time. What do teams need to do? They need to dominate locally. We've said this probably a million times, and Alabama is doing a good job of that. Now they need to branch out regionally. They've done that as well. They've gotten a lot of guys out of the state of Georgia. Then they go nationally and get some of the bigger targets around the country. And flipping a guy like Keelan Russell, I think, is a phenomenal move for Alabama Crimson Tide and for Coach Kalen DeBoer, showing he can bring in the big boys. Because Keelan Russell was a great quarterback in high school. He played for one of the best teams in the country, the second best team in the state of Texas, just behind DeSoto High School. Duncanville played all of the big dogs. They were one of the most competitive teams in the state of Texas. And he definitely, when I say he, I mean Russell, played against some of the best competition that you could possibly play against in the high school football world. I think this is a great move for Alabama because having a guy like Keelan Russell come into your program is just going to attract more talent. We talk about this all the time. We say A players want to play with A players, and Keelan Russell is definitely that kind of guy. He's their highest ranked recruit in this 2025 class, and I think he's going to attract a lot more high level recruits that want to potentially play with a high powered superstar level quarterback coming to Alabama. Nick, I think this is a huge move for Kalen DeBoer, just showing once again that he's got his recruiting chops down. He knows what he's doing and he has a game plan for what he wants to do at Alabama.
Yeah, there's this saying we hear all the time in football, right? The defining factor of good teams is what? They beat the bad teams, right? It's a saying that's been around for years, for decades, I feel like. Maybe since football ever first started. Hey, a sign of a good team is a team that beats the bad teams and beats them handily and beats them decisively, right? That's how you know who a good team is. Obviously, the finer points of that and who's better, that gets hammered out with big time matchups. But if you don't beat the bad teams, if you don't handle business like you should, like in situations you really need to, you're not a good team. I think a good example, a good corollary of that is if you're a good recruiter, you've got to be able to beat out lesser recruiters and lesser schools for top talent, right? That's the reality, right? If you're a good recruiter at a big program, you shouldn't lose a top prospect to Southern Methodist University. You shouldn't, right? Alabama, if they're interested in a quarterback prospect from anywhere in the country, I don't care if it's from Tuscaloosa, Eugene, Oregon, Manhattan, Fairbanks, Alaska, Miami, Florida, everywhere in between. If you're a halfway competent recruiter at the University of Alabama, you do not lose recruits to schools that are not your level. SMU is not in your level. So the fact that DeBoer and his staff got this flip, got this commitment, and at the same time, Russell has said, listen, he's all in on the Tide. He's done taking official visits. He's basically signed on the dotted line, all but done that up to this point. I think this is a very, very solid commitment. So to me, this is a sign, a big indicator that DeBoer and his staff are good recruiters. Now, I know a lot of people said, duh, but the reality is they haven't had a chance where it was sort of not a new thing, where there wasn't a phenomenon, right? Earlier this offseason, it was the transfer energy. It was the pseudo chaos as Saban was retiring. Some people were leaving, some people were staying, right? Now that we're actually in the summer months, all the competition knows who DeBoer is. Everyone knows who his assistants are. Like the playing field is kind of shaken out. Everyone knows everyone else in terms of the assistant coaches and recruiters. And with that all settled, with that all set in stone, Alabama, Coach DeBoer, his staff have proved they are good at what they do. They are able to easily, quickly, and definitively dispatch of lesser programs in the recruiting game. And trust me, Bama fans, that is a key sign because there's been some dark eras in Alabama's history, the pre-Saban eras, where that wasn't always the case. You guys know what I'm talking about, where some of the lesser schools, lesser programs were able to beat out Alabama's coaches. Not anymore. Obviously, Saban took care of that. But the fact that DeBoer, even after the dust settled, is able to handle business, that's a sign that he's a good recruiter.